Hello and welcome everyone to Wednesday, North America. We're going to have two sets for you today. My name is Gormizer, and this is the pre-show for the PPL. Joining me, as always, on this desk is Rain Day and Pretty Hair as we come through some interesting matchups today. One that the last time we watched it was incredibly fast. The other one that the last time we watched it was incredibly long. So you are going to min-max, I guess, depending on how today goes.
Balance in all things.
How are you all feeling?
It is the yin and yang of Paladins, my friend. We have a set that was the longest set of potentially PPL history. I don't know how it could have gotten any longer because we had all the long maps, too. We had Split Zone and everything. That had to be it. And now we have the chance for both of those teams,
right?
Yeah, both of those teams to redeem themselves. That's what I'm looking for, is any team going to actually crush the other. You look at Fnatic and you look at Na'Vi and you look at NIP, great players. I mean, arguably better than what we're seeing today, no offense, just a little older, a little bit more experience. And they beat each other very quickly. That's the sign of a good team and teams progressing, learning when to step on the throat of your opponent.
And that's actually one of the things, the first thing that I was thinking of when I think of that last set, and something
grim.
that you have said in the past, which is just
okay.
when you're winning,
we here
and
for
it's,
blood.
You know,
It's
4-3,
week 5.
4-3, 4-3, 4-3, 4-3. You're like, neither team is truly better than the other. Like, and that's not the sign of good play as much as it is the sign of people that are just playing each other. Versus, like you said, Na'Vi Fnatic used to be, you can go 5 sets, but it's like 4-2, 4-1,
right.
4-0. Like, they're winning. And so my question is today, is Renegades or Splyce going to be able to step up and actually be that team that can dominate? Or
If anyone, it feels like it would be Renegades historically that would be able to do it. I'd be happy for Splyce to get this win cleanly. I'd look for them to improve on the things that they were lacking in that first matchup.
Heading into LAN, they have to find wins today. Splyce and Renegades, this is their moment, honestly, to shine. I was thinking of the Galavan. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. It's hilarious. But he sings, "This is my moment," and all these moments that aren't actually his moment, and he realizes, oh, never mind. That's not the right time to use it. And I think Splyce and Renegades have been doing that all season, thinking, this is my moment. It's going to happen. And then even in the words of Vayne himself, they say, we fall short every single time. It's the Splyce curse, but we're working for LAN to prepare against it. And that's what this is going to show. Baby steps towards that goal of really making it their moment, because that's what they need to happen in November.
And I feel like a lot of the things that overlap between these two teams right now is kind of inherent in their playstyle. I feel like they both want very similar drafts when it comes down to it. Of course, there's a wider champion pool, I think, right now than we've seen in the past, but these teams seem to overlap a lot. What exactly is it in their playstyle that maybe is the same or different that could cause either Renegades or Splyce to step ahead?
You want to go?
Go for it, man.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's talent that just hasn't found confidence yet, truly, in this league. I truly think that everyone on Renegades and on Splyce, which is what's relatively frustrating to watch, are really talented players, can do all the things that we're looking at European teams do, but they just, for some reason, don't click. They don't. It's maybe in the comms. Maybe it's just in the day. When they show up, something goes wrong. And I think that's something that it's hard to define when you're looking at it.
Yeah, playing around your team is super important. Playing with one another, playing for yourself definitely at times as well. Knowing what you can achieve, and this is more to the Splyce guys who might be newer to this league, right? Yeah. Going up against a Moonchopper toe to toe with one of those guys and saying, I can beat this guy. I can take this guy in a 1v1. I'm not going to scare. I'm not going to change or alter my play based on the name that I see above this champion's head. It's just Victor. Or it's just Leon. Or it's just another Drogos. He's got just as much HP, does just as much damage as all the other Drogos I've put in the dirt in the past. This one is no different.
Yeah.
Well, we've mentioned in the past how both of these teams, especially at the beginning of the split, were looking phenomenal compared to what we had seen kind of in the summer. It seemed like everything was going up for them. It feels like they had, like, it didn't necessarily feel like a peak, but it definitely feels like they plateaued there, right? They hit that limit, and they've just kind of stuck at that level. They haven't necessarily gotten better as time has gone on, at least in the split. So what changes would you recommend looking at them, especially with today? You had mentioned going to LAN. This is going to be really important for them, not just today to find wins, but is there anything specific these teams have to look at as changing mentality-wise, champion-wise, or just plain old roster-wise, depending on how things go?
For Splyce, I think they can just sort of relax because it is what it is. They are where they are. They're going to the LAN and the sea that they're going in.
Yeah,
for the Renegades, it's weird because they keep going on those technicalities, right? So I don't know what is in their heads and what they think of themselves and what they think they deserve or what place they think they should be in, because they're always coming to LAN. They've always done it. They've always made the cut on like a technicality, which I think has had this like weird adverse effect on them, perhaps.
I'm going to get real about the Renegades right now, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but their hearts have not been in Paladins this split specifically. Maybe some of them, but not all of them. You know, when you have a guy like Viral go and become a Realm Royale pro, that means he's not focused on Paladins all the time he's playing Realm Royale. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. That's factual. Now, it doesn't mean that he can't still be successful, but you're not going to see those leaps and bounds from the guys who are just going nuts about trying to execute on their specific role. And we're seeing that with this level of mediocrity that's accepted. Renegades lose to every team they're supposed to, and they beat every team they're supposed to, and nothing else happens. And that is one of the worst places, I think, in sports or esports to be. They have to find a way to make an upset. They have to find a way to make their mark. The season is over, but these are some of the games that I think they could start that upward trend as we get towards LAN.
Well, they're going to be the first set, and I think it's either going to be a long one or a quick one. I don't know if there's a middle ground, maybe a 4-game set, but it's one of those awkward feelings, especially going into this, that it doesn't feel like either team knows fully how to close out against their opponent coming into it. But on the other side, we have probably the exact opposite of that, which is Envy, who has known how to close out literally every single game they have been in this split. They have not had too much of an issue. I think the worst they've gone to is a 4th game, and that was just potentially a slip-up or the fact that SK showed up. And that was actually the last time they met, was when Envy was in that kind of area of, are they going to be a team that is world champion status, or are they just number 1 in NA? And so I'm curious, do you guys think this is a team that is 100% potential to be a finalist at PWC, or do you think that this is all online?
They've already proved it. They've already proved it this year, and they've only gotten better. So, I mean, that would lead to the answer of absolutely. They didn't face Navi in that Vegas finals, but to them, they won an international LAN. Sure, you know, LATAM wasn't there, Brazil wasn't there, but do you think they win anyways? Probably. And I think that means that they are a caliber to win it. One of the only North American teams who have done that.
It's been so long at this point, but didn't they beat Navi like earlier in that Vegas tournament?
Oh yeah, they beat Navi, they beat Fnatic, they beat everyone.
Fnatic in their prime too. That's not just like Fnatic now.
Yeah, they beat everyone. They've deserved it.
They've shown that they can do it. It's just a matter of I think staying focused under the most pressure that they will be under, right? That Vegas tournament, I don't know, maybe it was the atmosphere. They were feeling loose, feeling happy about it, and there wasn't really any pressure for the rest of the season because that was just sort of a fun exhibition thing. But they just have to transplant that now. And you're right, they've only gotten better.
They have shown themselves to be a top team. They have definitely been able to come through and demolish their opposition pretty much every step of the way. At least in North America, I think Europe's going to give them a little bit more competition than what we've seen.
Yeah.
But the other side, SK, the team they have to go up against, the last time they met, they took them to 4. They actually looked really good early on, which seems to be the plague of SKs. Very good in the first 2 games, and then they flounder as 3, 4, maybe 5 come on. But I would say they have definitely improved over this split. Do you think that this is a team that has potential not only here, but also at LAN, or is this a team that just is still flopping?
No, I think they're still a little bit lost, personally. I don't really know what to expect from them at LAN.
I don't know what to expect from them, but I do believe that there is a chance in the qualifiers. Remember, we're taking 4 teams. So you look at maybe Fnatic and Virtus Pro for sure. You're looking at, you know, maybe in the right day, Renegades if they just play well. And then you're really looking at SK or Splyce or one of the international teams. Now, you talk about that, and you don't even go into the North American PGS teams, the European PGS teams, which have some veterans on them for sure. It is a rough road for SK, but I mean, they can do it. I just don't know if it will happen, but they've got the pieces. As long as they perform, and SSG and LATAM don't show up like monsters like they have been doing.
I'm really excited for this LAN just because the amount of teams that are being brought, right? It's going to be really awesome to finally get to see like an EU5 versus like this NA like 3, 4. See like where does NA stack up against EU? Is that curse still there for North America, or do they deserve a little bit more respect? And I think obviously Envy's got the weight on their shoulders to sort of prove that and make their way and make themselves to a championship caliber roster.
Just as a quick note, I mean, what do you expect for today, right? That's the long term, looking at LAN. Can they make it? Can they beat some of these PGS teams? Today they're against Envy. What do you think is going to come through?
I think SK will make it to LAN.
To make it to, because they're already qualified. You mean to?
They won't have any flight problems.
Okay, there we go. I think
shit's gonna be paid for.
I think Splyce and Renegades is going to be probably a 4-game set. I think somebody's going to turn it up a little bit, but I don't see a 3-0 here unless Renegades take some type of magic pill and it all works for everybody at the same time. I think Envy and SK be an interesting one to see. I know these guys are still hustling. I think Pan may have a good game like we saw Alex have on the Mouse Sports Jaguar Falls game 2 of that set. But overall, I think this is still going to go the way of Envy. They're going to be clean. I don't even know if SK will get a map, but that would be what they could hope for.
Yeah, I think, Splyce Renegades should be, an interesting one. It should be a barn burner for sure. Envy, I've sort of just got my notepad out. I'm just watching to see like what they're doing, because this is, something they're not really worried about. It's Seed 1 versus Seed 5. It is what it is. I'm looking at what are they picking? How are they beating SK? Are they trying out anything new? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, it's a barn burner, at least up first. The one that was, I think you had said, potentially the longest in PPL history.
And
definitely a very, very long set, and it is Renegades versus Splyce. And we actually got to sit down with Vayne from Splyce, someone that you don't get to see as often, but he is going to be one of their better frontliners, one of the stronger players of the team, and we got to get a few words from him and his thoughts on this set.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? We are here with Splyce's own and Vayne. Vayne, how are you doing today, bud?
I'm doing pretty good, actually.
Yeah?
I'm pretty pumped. Yeah.
Nice. Woke up with some nice hair, looking
looking
sharp.
Sleek.
So you guys have a great matchup here coming up against the Renegades. Last time you went to the distance. I mean, it was a Hail Mary throw, 1 second on the clock. Basically 200 yards, 2 football fields worth of a match, and it ended up going
tripped at the end.
Renegades' way. So talk to me about facing them again, and what do you expect from this upcoming match?
So going into it, we want to win more than anything right now. Because we want to, we've shown that we can go the distance, but we've also shown that we can't close it out.
Yeah.
And that's always been something that we've struggled with. We call it the Splyce curse, where we take it so far and then we just choke right at the end. And we're going to come and we're going to prove that we're not going to choke. We're not going to choke here, and we won't choke anywhere else either. LAN.
Well, it's a pretty cool thing because you guys haven't had an opportunity to go to LAN. A lot of this roster are newer players budding from the scene, from the PGS, and then coming up and finding this moment in the PPL. What does this game mean for you? Is this a sign of confidence if you guys can take this W, that LAN has a lot of possibilities for you? Does it just another old game and you're not really focused on it and looking at, hey, man, we got to prepare for LAN. Whatever we need to do to get ready for that, that's our number one.
Well, I think regardless of the outcome of today's game, we know that we're going to show up at LAN. We know that we are going to show that we deserve to be there, regardless of our placement in any seasons prior or any time before, or what anybody ever thinks of Splyce or ever will think of Splyce. We're coming here to prove that when we do get to come here, we're going to make some waves. And I think that's something that Splyce has been known for in this last season, is coming out of nowhere and just proving that we aren't just a pushover team,
Right.
that we're here to play.
And I mean, there's no doubt that the stats don't serve in your favor in that argument. Stats have proven that you guys should do nothing at LAN and almost shouldn't even be there if we weren't inviting all the teams. So I want to leave that to you and say, what makes you think this LAN's going to be different? What makes you think you guys are going to show up? Because I could actually see it a little bit. The feeling of confidence is palpable around you. But I got to say that what is giving you that confidence, considering that you've had so many L's leading up to here?
Because I feel like it takes L's in order to grow, and without them, you can't learn on what you need to be better at and to improve on. One thing that we've noticed is whenever a team goes to LAN undefeated, they leave wishing they had more knowledge of everything, and it's proven. Fnatic going 8-0 in season, G2 going 8-0 in season. They wanted more out of their LAN, and I think it was because they never had the chance to learn from a loss or to use that to fuel them, and that's all we have is fuel. We haven't provided any.
Now.
Yeah, now we just need to, and we've been given the free ride, and we have the fuel. So now we just gotta make the explosion when it counts, and I feel like that's what we've been waiting for, and that's what we're building up to. And right now, in our mind, that's what matters most, is proving that we can make a difference at LAN, and that's the biggest thing on our minds right now.
Awesome. Well, we wish you a little bit of a step forward in your set today versus Renegades and hopefully see some improvement. But either way, we're super excited to have you all at LAN for the first time. Should be really fun. And, hey, I'm the first one who will welcome an explosion in the esports scene for Paladins, no doubt about it.
Oh, definitely.
Mr. Vayne here from Splyce. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
For sure.
Hey, welcome back to the Paladins Premier League. I'm Randy. That's Pretty Hair. It's time to get started for our first set of the day. Of course, we've got Splyce versus Renegades, then Envy versus SK to round that out for your afternoon of Paladins Pro action. But before we do, the HRX tournament is coming right around the corner. The championships you all have been waiting for, where a lot of that hype video is kind of about supporting. November 16th through 18th. Get your tickets now at highresexpo.com.
Come be that guy in the middle. How hyped he is.
How hyped.
Be that guy. And then come to the after party, HRX after party, .eventbrite.com on that Sunday night. Only $50 for the best night of your life. I can guarantee it.
Nick will guarantee it. And he will pay you your money back if it's not.
It's true.
He said it. All right, guys, let's take a look at the standings here. Not as Vincier in Europe taking the 7-0, and in North America, the same thing goes for Envy. They're playing later. Right now, we're taking a look at the middle two, Renegades and Splyce, who found themselves in a bit of an interesting quandary. Both -4, -7 as far as map differential, but Renegades have got an extra win on the table. Splyce, an extra loss. Most of that has to do with the Renegade-Splyce matchup of old, where they went all 5 games, and Renegades narrowly pulled it out.
Here's the schedule for the rest of the week. Remember that we are on Wednesday. Europe had their first day yesterday, and there will be some more matchups. Virtus Pro Fnatic, that's the one that you want to watch, though. I think that's going to be the most exciting match given the rest of the week. But I like that interview with Vayne, and I'm excited to kind of meet those guys, right? It's kind of like the only team we haven't really had a chance to sit down with. There's a couple of players sprinkled around the rest of the rosters, but for the most part, we've had the chance and the pleasure of sort of being along with the ride, I think, for the rest of these guys. And I'm excited to kind of get to know this Splyce team in their first real LAN event. Yeah,
this is going to be a big one for a lot of these teams, and what's cool is that they're all here. They're all still playing at LAN. They all get that experience to wrap up the year. And we're going to be on Fish Market for map number 1 against Renegades. Splyce have decided to go in a different direction. Ash taken away first. Renegades with the Furia ban. And Androxus here for Splyce taken away as well.
I like this map pick, though. This has always been something that Splyce have been sort of successful on. And it's kind of funny, even with some of the different rosters that they've had, they've sort of, I guess, Fish Market has stayed a staple for them. They'll go with the first pick, Khan. Saw a little bit of the sniping play come out, and with both of them open, I expect to see those come out sooner rather than later.
And, you know, notably, I recall a lot of Renegades matchups where ClickU was playing against Khan. I think it might have either been against Envy or it might have been against G2, but the Khan was not successful. It lost, and I kept saying another game Khan loses, and he's been banned most of the time. So the Fernando Ash ban's probably throwing Khan into the loop, but the Makoa gets picked alongside him with a Maldamba, and it is a triple DPS that Renegades have committed to right now. Look at that, Nick. Haven't seen those 4 together in a while.
And it's interesting that they commit to that, given what Splyce had already picked. Normally, when it's all that you see is front lines and stuff like that, it's like Splyce have already got the core of what they need to try and counter those 3 DPS.
Man.
Those tend to struggle.
So that's a quadra DPS. Man. Let me rephrase my statement here. We've never seen all these players together in this way, these champions. Who do you think is going to win? You got to say, surprise factor.
Certainly is surprise factor. The thing that I do like about Splyce's comp, though, is that these frontliners can hold their own in duels. Makoa and Khan are going to do okay against most of these champions that the Renegades have brought out. Buck will do fair, and then if Strix hits the shot, he hits the shot, and then his 1v1 goes from there. But on paper, it is certainly surprising to look at, without a doubt.
I mean, I don't know, Nick. If this is my ranked game, I trust it. Just kidding. I'm raging if that last pick Eevee goes through.
Are you?
Well, damn. You know, I think it's just really a gamble, and you might have been able to match them, but I think because of the Fernando Ash bans, really the only other front line there was Barrack. Barrack's something that you would have assuredly seen pick up in a European matchup. But they're going a bit of a different direction. It's going to be the Luminary, of course, the Wormhole. It's going to be Loki on the Street Justice Mave, which has that execute threshold, and Shadow running the Ensnare. Not sure if he's going to stay with it, though. I think Bulk Up would be a much smarter choice here. Just the survivability is going to give him the edge against all this damage, but he goes for it.
Half Shell, Ensnare. interesting choices here, but this is certainly not your cut and dry standard game here for the Renegades. Quad DPS. No front line and just a little bit of healing from this Genos. They try and keep all of these boys alive. Starting to fan out now. You can see Splyce hanging out together as you would hope that their composition would do. All these flanks, all these damages, looking to spread out the map and pick people apart in 1v1s.
That's really, really, really rough because now the half shell is forcing ClickU to get aggressive, and he does. Hero also finds that early kill, and now Renegades have the man advantage. They found another one. ClickU has gotten aggressive, and it's paid off. ClickU with another kill, and this man, the franchise player for the Renegades, says, thumbs down. You shall not live. Finish him off. The arena is his.
Certainly the more flexible front line for the Renegades, but we don't get to see them run a lot of 3 DPS. We don't really get to see, you know, who is that flex guy, who's that Tolkien, who's that Phoenix, who's that third man that is going to be able to move around a little bit. And so far, so good for ClickU. This might be something, if successful, that the Renegades dabble in a little bit more often.
Yeah, I mean, this is assuredly something that ClickU feels confident in. Loves that Leon flex, and I think it's showing off real big here. Loki as well on the Street Justice Mave. Hard champion to keep track of, and just that sound forces Ricotta to the left. He finds Moonchopper. A lot of time being bought, though, and that's the execution threshold, which sometimes you have problems getting to. Not when you have 4 other damage dealers helping you out.
And there's an Enlightenment ripping up to the high ground. Makes it nice and easy for Loki and Hero to combine for some damage. This half-shell Makoa, I don't know how I feel about it so far. It feels like it hasn't really gotten to its spot. I want to take a look at his loadout because this used to be a pretty meta selection. It got nerfed and changed a little bit. Still strong in its own right, but definitely one of those builds that you need to get to late game for to really get a lot of Chronos online, get a lot of CDR in combination with Barrier Reef. Once people actually start destroying your shields, you can get a decent amount of uptime with this shield, and you're going to need it. I mean, playing without that extra 1,200 HP is certainly difficult to adjust to.
And that's the thing that I'm thinking about. You know, when you look at a quad DPS, I'm seeing mobility, I'm seeing damage. Especially you look at some of these champions like the Leon, the Cassie, easily able to deal with shields. I mean, Maeve doesn't even have a reload. They will grab some cauterize, but a lot of those champions will be able to deal with a half shell, and you have to stay stationary to use it. And that's the problem. I think the health, sure, but the fact that you got to be in one place with 4 DPS running and trying to kill you, I think that hurts maybe a little bit more.
Trying to dance in and out of the shield.
Nice.
G-Bunny will get the killing blow there, coming over to provide some peel. Viral, knowing that everyone grouped up. We'll slam that home with the Genos ultimate. He's on payload duty for the moment, though. Shadow falls back, hits his heal. Trying to stay alive here, but the pressure just will not stop. These little girls keep coming around the corner. They keep running into my guns.
Big buck here.
And this is Genos and his ladies. I just kind of noticed that about that comp.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're being very, very, I think, given a lot to be able to work with here, because you see Renegades having that extra damage amp, and it's just making these matchups a little bit more precarious for the normally pretty tanky Buck in a 1v1. Moonchopper gets picked up by the Overpower, and I guess who else is a better target? She's probably got the most defensive mechanics out of anybody in this entire roster for the side of Renegades. So he gets rid of her, buys some time, and now 38 seconds left on this defense.
Question I've started to ask myself is, how does this team fight change with ultimates in play here? And looking across at both, you have to say things look good for Splyce. They have that guaranteed kill like you just saw at the Overpower, and it helps that he doesn't have to worry about throwing a frontline off the map. Just grab an Eevee and she's dead in a couple of seconds. There's no chance that she survives the solo gauntlet grab here. Ancient Rage, of course, always a great one. It's just up to you to make the play. There's not a ton of CC on the Renegades to shut it down, so the lack of CC immunity with not having Leviathan won't be too much of a problem, I don't think. Splyce could have a really good advantage for themselves just playing with ults.
I mean, you know, you'd hate to see an Ancient Rage Makoa get caught in a Void Grip. I mean, that would just feel like, wow, I'm not getting value out of this ult, am I? But at the end of the day, Ice Storm, all those things will be available to be shutting down this turtle. Through time and space, just narrowly clips G-Bunny there after he finishes off the kill. It's a decent start for Renegades. Viral going deathless, and ClickU and Hero carrying the bigger change. Really, Hero flexing onto that Cassie is probably the bigger story here for the Renegades, rather than ClickU on that Leon and doing well.
Rejuvenate picked up here for ClickU. G-Bunny goes straight into Marabus. He wants this Overpower up as much as possible. Everybody else going into Cauterize outside of the healer. 1-to-1 here. It'll be a slow going unless somebody figures this out. I don't think either team is necessarily comfortable with what's happening here. This is very different territory, new waters unexplored for both of these squads. Everyone's scouted out here for Splyce, but kind of hanging out together anyway. No one's really surprised. No one's going on any flank routes. All the same so far from round 1 to 2.
Ooh, and Vayne finds the shot. It dips over and takes down ClickU now. Opportunity for Splyce to move in. They could send somebody onto the objective, but there's still Loki who's alive. And smartly, I like the way Splyce just back off. They don't get aggressive. And, you know, Renegades don't capitalize on getting a member down. So, I mean, it's all null and void. There's really nothing that resulted in positive. Now only 6% on the objective, but Renegades are back.
18% now. Bringing this one through. Loki hits the reset button on his cooldowns, but he's still low HP. Still not getting a ton of healing. Out of combat. Finally can start going back in. Splyce.
Wow.
Just been on the objective. One little pick here, one little pick there. That's all this round's been defined by. And 63% to nothing on the objective.
And there have been really good moments here on the side of Renegades, but then they started to be lackluster there. They had the moment where they could back off and be fine, but then 93% on the objective, 96, you can see that it's clearly passed in front of them. Loki with a kill on the shadow, but it's a consolation prize. Renegades now looking down as Splyce take the lead in this one.
2 ultimates not even needed to be used there by Splyce. Never really found a use for 2 of the own for Renegades as well. And that's what's going to happen to the Renegades if they can't find the kills, and that's all it takes for Splyce. They get that one little pick, and that's it. They just sit on the objective. They've got 2 frontliners. They can do it. They've even got Buck. He can still do it. They've got a healer that can really just juice somebody up. Single target on the objective. Renegades, they lose one person. They lose this fight in a lot of aspects.
Yep.
And it becomes a very big struggle for them to get onto the objective.
And you can see that maybe there's a little bit of... I don't know if this is all strategy. This might just be a little bit of fun from the Renegades as well, saying, hey, come on, might as well. Let's try something different. And, yeah, go easy. Who cares?
G2.
Yeah, but and that same way, I think my point, I think, is there's a little bit of self-awareness about this comp being a little wacky for them, and not sure if it's going to work out. Not something tried and true that they've been scrimming with. But I do think that it's had some moments where you could see it being successful, but this is definitely not it. They know that there's nothing that can go on. Enlightenment, the only chance to solve, but just going to result in the death, one after another after another. That's what happens when you don't have a front line in an objective-based game.
Kills for Shadow down the stretch. That's a big lead for Splyce on this map. This is a good map for them in the past. Maybe the Renegades just have seen this map work out this way for a couple of other teams, like we mentioned. There has been quad DPS run on this map before.
When?
G2 ran it.
Oh, did really this season? Against I don't remember that.
I think it was SK.
Okay. All right. I think they might have had the Buck in that one too. Now that I'm thinking about it, Bodies would be. Actually, no, Flame might have had that. I don't recall. I mean, there's really not a lot of moments that I think are easily recognizable where we've seen this pay off. And again, you look at that triple front line and you see it work with a lot of the good teams, but you don't see it work when you're trying to build something up. And that gets a lot of damage off. Doesn't find a kill, and their hero, as a result, takes down the Turtle, who's been lessened to about 10% health. And now Renegades, they have the objective, but Cassie's going to roll off of it, give that to Viral, and this should be a full wipe. All they needed was a pick, and it turns into an avalanche of damage.
Oh, another triple kill for ClickU. Feeling pretty good so far. And you got to say, I don't know, the way I've seen Half Shell be used and be even marginally successful as of late is when people are hunched up around it. When there's really nothing else to shoot, there's really nothing else you can do but play into the way that loadout card is supposed to work. And I haven't really seen that. It really has been this Makoa a little bit on his own. I don't know if Leviathan still wouldn't have been a better option here.
And maybe, you know, the Street Justice is something he's thinking about as far as, you know, just making sure that he wouldn't, in this matchup, be getting the most out of his large health pool anyway, so maybe he can get the most out of a shield, he's thinking. And CC immunity, not a lot, admittedly. You do have a few things, but not the most. I don't know. I think Renegades here definitely know what they need to do. It's get a pick, and then things start to work. That's the nature of Fish Market. I mean, you get momentum, and things like this just keep on happening.
That'll work. That's done. Just a little bit too shy. And those inconsequentials are my favorite thing there. The shield goes down, and he's just forced to has to back up. I can mention, though, that loadout did get nerfed. It used to be stronger. It used to be late game when you would play into that like that. It was just constant shields over and over. It's almost like the Cassie roll build, right? It's almost there. It's almost like it used to be, but just not quite as potent as times pass here. Frontliners falling lower under the half shell, but bigger problems for Kliku. He rolls off the top of the hill, gets a good amount of distance in between him and his foes, but right back up to the top of the hill.
Yeah, huge slide, man. And, you know, comeback mechanic, that didn't really matter in that one. I mean, they had it, and that was for sure. They're going to zone out if they get the lead, but it's really about this next point fight. Who gets the first pick, and how do you go about that to make sure that you can guarantee you're not going to get surprised by some of this damage? The third triple kill we've seen Kliku have in the course of this 11-minute game.
Eight and 4 here for the Renegades. Pretty good slash runs kind of across the board when you look at them. Everyone else on Splyce almost struggling. I think Vayne's the only one that's even there. It ain't pretty, but that's how these tankier comps tend to work out. It's not about the kills as much for Splyce. It's just about not losing. That's how they're going to win.
Now you got to look at the fact that Renegades want to be aggressive. A turtling position, both literally and figuratively here for Vayne. Might put them at risk. They are playing defensive. Cassie has them scouted out with the reveal. Now Kliku starting to get some damage. Moon Chopper blinks in. They are under pressure. Shadow trying to make a move, but Shadow looks like he's going down. I don't know if there's a way out of this. Ricardas hit some big shots, but Kliku beats him to the punch, hits the E, and that's Enlightenment. Now he's in the back line, but he's getting pressured out, but the heal, the Luminary heal is enough, but G-Bunny from range still cleans it up. There's still a chance.
A lot of damage going out on the shield currently. One more set of knives. Can't quite get the Ancient Rage off. Now G-Bunny is under some pressure. He's almost an execute threshold. There it goes.
Oh,
but
no.
Loki's out of tools here. He is caught in a corner in every sense of the word. Shadow puts one more into him. Finds himself a double kill. Now we'll rotate back towards the objective. Wants to keep the pressure up here. It's put pretty low. Doesn't have his jump. Has his ultimate, though. Still have Ancient Rage, so maybe a blessing in disguise here. Splyce still working with some ultimates. The Renegades have nothing.
Definitely a blessing because Shadow goes down early, but that allows the rest of the team fight to continue. Renegades to get aggressive, and the Shadow can come back, get the double kill once they've used their cooldowns to find some further kills. Kliku also caught a little bit of no man's land there, and that may come back to haunt him. Now Loki over on the left side, finding the pressure. They do get Ricotta, and that's the sniper. Big shot here from Shadow. Can he hit it? The Void Grip as well coming through, and he's going to go into the Buck Wild. He sees Viral in the back line. If he can just shut down this Luminary, he knows he can help his team, but Hero, an easy target and snare, not enough. The cooldown, wasn't up, but he somehow stays alive.
Just barely staying on the map there. Another Enlightenment from Kliku, and it cleans up yet another kill. This Leon
That's it.
has been on point. The kills will follow through. The bow is tied, the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted on this 3-3 Fish Market game. G-Bunny here at about half HP. He falls, and the outcome shall not change.
And in the same vein that it was great, Shadow died early to be able to come back mid-round. It was just as good for Kliku to die a little bit afterwards to come back late game.
I was expecting you to have a 5-man pun for Splyce lined up in the same vein. Shadow's ricotta cheese.
In the same vein, the Shadow of Kliku's death ended up slicing.
Making him a hero.
Renegade, yeah, exactly. I know. That was so funny. I'm making him a hero.
Did you mean to do that?
No, I did know the Vayne thing was happening, but there was so much potential. I mean, Aspect, I could have done that. The only thing that would have been hard was G-Bunny. I don't really know how that would have played.
The rest of these, it's
Ricotta
nice.
Cheese, the same vein, and the Shadow of Kliku's Leon was an Aspect they did not become aware of until it was too G-Bunny. Unfortunate.
There he is.
That's what's missing. It's the pun synergy from Splyce.
G-Bunny. Think it's time for a name change. Kliku, though, incredible stuff from him on Leon. 10-5. Plenty of sprays, plenty of emotes here. Feeling good. And game number 1.
Yeah, this is what made him such a, I think a marquee player. Back last split when we were seeing Renegades have a couple of really nice sets against some of the better teams in MD and G2. Kliku in that triple DPS meta was that guy who was flexing on Leon. They'd leave Hero onto that front line. They'd leave Viral obviously on his support, and Kliku would take that job. And Leon was notably one of the champions that was popular with that, with Phoenix, over the cross-the-board Na'Vi. But also he was very, very good. So it's good to see him bring that out. Hero flexing his Cassie skills, but everybody's got to have a good Cassie. As we head into game 2, let's see if they can bring it out differently in the drafts. Splyce trying to surprise on Fish Market, but get surprised themselves by the Quadra DPS that works yet again.
We're going to keep it up here with these fringe map picks. Going to Frozen Guard now. Renegades with the first pick. Voice band selection. They toss out the Kinessa here. Obviously, Ricotta played a Strix last game. I guess he just prefers that a little bit more. Both of them were open.
Definitely.
But he went for what he went for. Furia banned away. Khan gone as well, leaving Makoa open first. The Renegades want it.
And the Renegades now, they probably will. I think this is a very strong pick. It flex onto so many different people. But Hero and, of course, ClickU most likely to take that role. However, the Torvald's still available, and that's something that you gotta consider. They're gonna forego it. And I know there's no Androxus, but Torvald, pretty much anybody, especially Drogos or Willow, that's incredible.
Both of the Ghost characters still open here.
Wow.
This is probably a map, though, where they are not as big as a problem as they would be on a lot of other places.
That's true. That's true.
A lot of open spaces for them to fly around in. And by proxy, that gets shot down, but I think Splyce, they grab a nice little problem and the answer here. Drogos and Leon taking that away from the Renegades here. A lot of guys that apparently can play that pick.
Yeah.
For that squad.
I think it's an interesting situation here. Torvald just untaken from Renegade, so not really valuing that. Splyce have the opportunity to do something a little funky, but they're just going to grab the Ying. So, the Ashe, the Inara preferred here in North America. Who do you think is going to win? I got my money on the Renegades with how they performed earlier on this set, but Splyce have a real good draft, and we're going to have to see if this Drogos works out.
Yeah, it's not super dominant either way, and I believe this is the Renegades map pick, so you have to lean a little bit towards them, but I think it comes down a lot to that fight for the wall here. A lot of these champions want to sort of sit there where they have a lot of open lines of sights to play with, and Drogos wants it just so they can't have it at that point. Be curious to see where he goes and where he likes to command his pressure.
It's going to be a tough one for him with Strix on the board, especially with a guy like Loki piloting it, you would assume. But the Drogos has a lot of potential. Shadow should be the one piloting that one on his end. Can he make the difference? Leviathan Makoa now for ClickU. Big game, though, for Loki. Looking to shut down Vayne before he even gets going.
It's definitely a good one. It'll help against G-Bunny, too, in case, G-Bunny ever wants to get up in his face and think that he can take that 1v1. It's a big turnaround potential for Loki. Who is on Cassie? Moonchopper will be taking the sniper this time around. Still playing ambush. You'll see a little bit of crack shot, see a little bit of ambush, but I feel like it's still primarily unauthorized use. Wall control goes immediately to the Renegades. Ricotta kicks. Oh my goodness, look at the damage. That's ambush right there, baby.
But you know what's great is the positioning right here of Aspect. I mean, he's able to get the heal off right immediately, get Ricotta back into the fight. 80 health, normally that's a few seconds. And Shadow ends up finding the kill on the Loki. So great stuff, great positioning at the start of this fight. Ricotta still holding this down, applying a lot of pressure. Moonchopper forcing to look at him. Vayne in the Earthen Guard steps out, but only 600 damage, so he knows he can get back to cover before it becomes lethal. Now Moonchopper's in trouble. Oh boy, it's G-Bunny Ashe with a double kill here, getting involved.
This is good for Splyce because that's the type of play. That's a coordinated effort from the team. G-Bunny's just dead there if he makes that type of dive without help from the squad there, but you had Leon kind of encroaching around the side. You had fire spit pressure coming out from the objective. That was nicely played by Splyce.
And ClickU trying to get the overtime, but the problem is it truly all is in Vayne. It's all in Vayne's auto attacks who finds the kill, but it's all in Vayne because it doesn't seem like he's going to stay alive, and the combustible Drogos is still there. But Moonchopper says, wait a second, you will not die without just cause. I will go ahead and avenge you, my friend. Finds a big kill onto Vayne. After that, now could find Shadow, but he's going to have to do a lot as a lone sniper, and it's going to be Splyce at the end of the day who take this one.
Shadow just gets enough healing to just win that matchup as well. That feels bad. Chopper did everything right there. It's a lot of HP to get through, especially early on in the game when Ying is on standby. Nicely played by Splyce. Got themselves a little bit of a dragon punch here to get things going with. That's not the fire spit you hope for, but could be difficult for them to get a pick. It might take another one of those sort of coordinated dives. It's going to take some type of pretty committal play, I feel, from Splyce to be able to get through this open choke.
And what I like about Splyce's lineup truly is that, Frozen Guard becomes this poke battle where, we see Sha Lin's excel, we see Cassie's excel, we see Snipers excel on the defense here because it's such a long line of sight. You can actually shoot where Moonchopper is right to where the feet of Shadow are if you find the right angle. But ClickU, it's gonna deal with this Drogos, and that's the thing. Yeah, it's not a great map for the point fight, but a ton of burst. The hook misses, and that means that ClickU is not able to contest this Ashe, and it looks like he may be going down. A stun saves him momentarily, but Rakata finds the kill, and now Loki looks to be going down very quickly with a shoulder bash. It's going to connect. G-Bunny, say hello. Splyce looking good off the gate.
Awesome stuff from them, and again, it's how they win the point. It's how they win the conversion as well. You hear the gas pedal slam by Ying. G-Bunny dives in. Everyone's distracted. That allows these mid to closer range champions like Drogos and Leon to sort of get to their spots, find angles to play with, and get the kills that they need.
So great to see Splyce with a 2-0 here. They have the lead. They take advantage of it. And they really work this draft where a lot of people will have this kind of thought, and it's fine. It's a school of thought where the blasters aren't good on this map. But, you know, you look at Drogos and Willow, because they control flight doesn't mean they don't do those other things. In fact, I think Drogos may be a little better with this combustible style due to the fact that he can just peek. He can hide. He doesn't have to be flying in the air to do damage with these fire spits doing most of the work for him.
A couple of ultimates down for that conversion. Splyce on their way back up. All they've got is the seismic crash from Minara. So Renegades certainly have the ultimate economy to win this fight. They will start it off with a scout, head back to the wall. It looks like everything will pretty much play out roughly the same as it did in round one. Here comes the only ultimate that Splyce have, and it's countered by one of the many that Renegades have to offer.
But it was a really good attempt, and I like G-Bunny's rotation there to try and just add some extra damage. He's been playing well, and he's a lot of the reason this has been succeeding for them. It's Aspect, can't forget about him. His healing has been on point, and Splyce, they already have 45%. Comeback mechanic on the rise for Renegades, but if Splyce pull back now, there may be a chance to recontest.
Comeback mechanic in play, it's going to be difficult. And that's part of what made, I think, that seismic crash okay, because at that point, Splyce are just trying to slow things down so they can get some other resources up and available. Renegades have so much to continue to fight back with here. They almost had the flashbang. I mean, the fight's pretty much over at that point.
Yeah, right here, this is where you feel worried, and that's a beautiful shot. Moonchopper shows Shadow why he needs to be back in base on Frozen Guard. Drogos nowhere to hide with the sniper. 2,070 for the headshot there on the Ashe. Still got enough health. The flashbang hits. I don't think Rakata is nearby. He finds the kill on the Loki. I think his aim's okay. And look at Viral. He is so low, Nick, but he is somehow still alive supporting his team.
Dancing around the objective, 97 and 90%. But as Vayne falls, slow and steady wins the race here. Renegades are able to take this one with comeback mechanic. They have a squad that is a little bit better from range, so finding that pick to get the conversion is going to be a little bit easier, meaning that they don't have to spend those 3 ultimates to do it. They should be able to just do it with base kits here, and that's what's a little bit scary for Splyce on the defense.
They're getting some really amazing opportunities as well to play some decently high-level Paladins against one another, and they are both improving. I think this, to me, already shows improvement from that earlier set that they had, where it was just a push, stall, push, stall. Both teams seem like they have a plan. They're going for the execution. It doesn't work out, fine, back to the drawing board. But we're committing to something, and that's how they're getting those big moments where they get those 2-0 pushes. And look at this, Vayne just getting in the thick of things, gets himself a triple kill on Inara. You can go ahead, girl. Do your thing.
Easy. Easy for Vayne. 140 now on the clock. Just need a couple more of those, and we'll be in a good spot. Splyce have all the ultimates that they need to hold this with, and they're pretty close on the ones that they don't have up at all. Now the Renegades have to just come back. They haven't even made it to the choke, though. That's the big problem here is look at how aggressive Splyce are being in this hold. And maybe they just realize that. We don't have this poke comp. They don't have this sniper. They don't have this Cassie. They're going to have to make their stand here now.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the thing. They have to keep the Drogos protected. The second Moonchopper gets in the line of sight of Shadow, Shadow becomes basically null and void. Rakata sliding in, getting in the business of Moonchopper. Moonchopper says, back it up, son. Just trying to snipe over here. Wall, not available, but the Warder's Field is. It forces a dash here from Hero, and the shield pops. 55 seconds left, and slowly Renegade's making a little bit of wave. G-Bunny getting in the back line, and Moonchopper has an answer.
Does not work out for him. Now Vayne is pretty isolated here. He throws up the wall. He's going to get healed, but how does he get back to safety? That's the big question here. That's what I'm worried about. He simply just gets melted down by the cannon fire of Kaliku. 36 on the clock here. And Renegades, without a single ultimate used, are able to get this payload up and running. May even look for the conversion here. This fireball could be good. Loki with a little helping hand from the side as well.
And now you got to decide, do you use your assert dominance here? If you do, you have a decent chance of stalling them out. You might even force the ancient range. And one of the things that's great about that is that Defender's mechanic on Frozen Guard is one of the best in the business. And maybe they just decide the 2-2 is okay here. I think Shadow getting picked from the hook now once, turns into twice in this round, is enough to give them the courage to just take their ultimates into the next fight.
Great shots here from Chopper. That's what it's going to take, though. Ambush helping out with that. 64K on the board, top of the charts for this game. And everything but the Dread Serpent available for them, so they certainly have what they need to succeed in this fight. Same can be said for Splyce, though, except with Enlightenment. Equally important tools here for the defense.
Some rotations of sprays here. We saw some Goddess Leon. We're seeing some Barrack Snowman. And some Chibi Barrack. We're seeing some Get Wrecked. A lot of Get Wrecked.
That looks like a Christmas spray. I mean, it must be old, but I don't recognize it.
It's last year's Christmas spray. I think we had 5 sprays from 3 different artists in increments and patches. And I think that's one of them. Did a lot of cute chibi ones for the holidays. And there's G-Bunny up and down in the assert dominance. Doesn't find a lot of damage, but he does force Loki back, and yep, gets the kill. And now Shadow shows his head, but he's going to need to get healed up by Aspect. He's very low, but still alive.
That's the difference. I mean, when G-Bunny gets the support that he needs on these dives. Hello, Click You. Things look good. Baits out the Immortal.
Oh,
the second it's over, Moonchopper takes him out of the sky here, but it is Splyce 100-0 on the objective. The Renegades just so distracted over the course of that fight. Look at that. That's just an Ashe ultimate and a Dragon Punch. They were able to completely, I think, make Renegades just confused about what was actually going on.
And I mean, I like it, man. I think Splyce get aggressive. I love it so much more. And you know, it reminds me of a team that really has something to play for. They have something to prove. That's Splyce's motto heading into the next few weeks. And as LAN begins, that we are not going to be a joke here. We are going to prove to you all that we are the real deal. And so far, I'm liking it. Renegades also clapping back, getting a lot better, in my opinion, in terms of their execution. But they're down and potentially out. This is, however, their defense.
Yeah, you got to remember that sometimes. Reassure that they're on the wrong side of the map. That's how much pressure that they've got currently. And why not hold on to it? I mean,
yeah,
you sort of on this map anyway. So picture this flip-flop. This is sort of the first row choke point. If Renegades lose this fight anyway, they're not looking to fight much before that payload gets to this choke point on the other side of the map. So it's almost inconsequential to lose here. They're only buying time off the clock.
The only thing is, you know, momentum is a big deal when you're talking about a sniper and you're talking about Drogos. If you can give either one of them a little bit of room to snowball, that could be a problem. And look at that, Moonchopper falls. And that's really the threat for Shadow. And he maybe thinks he's safe, or at least safer than he should be, in a beautiful play there. I can't believe he didn't make it back on. But that's Vayne finding the kill on the Loki. Now Shadow in the back line. ClickU's going to fall. 52 seconds. This is enough to get things done as long as you keep Shadow there. Aspect with the heals. He goes up in the thrust. And G-Bunny finds Viral. It's enough. But Hero slays the dragon. And man, that's pretty consequential here for Splyce having all of their members up for this push.
And now it begins with 40 seconds on the clock. That's the biggest issue for Splyce, is they just don't have a lot of time to work with here. Renegades still can get that defense point, so that puts even more pressure on Splyce to make a decision. If they spend a lot of ultimates here, they could find themselves high and dry in the next round in a 3-3.
Yeah, Ricotta kind of throws his life away there. Slides in, no cooldown available. Shadow gets ClickU, which is a huge pick. I mean, if you could see that happening and then you just had 5v4, probably force some ultimates on the side of Renegades, but now that one just kind of slides out of their hands. Overtime will be ticked away. Moonchopper's low. If they get the kill on the sniper, though, Ricotta, good chance to redeem himself. Still on the right side, Vayne. Nice and healthy.
At this point, the best thing for Splyce is this overtime. Just dragging it out, though, just getting all of their ultimates charged up for the next round.
Especially Ying.
I don't know if they know the full extent. Obviously, they don't have all this info from the spectator UI. Splyce need to get these ultimates up. 1 for 1 here on the defense. Loki finds the first one. They'll trade out. A front line for a front line here. They both have 2 to give.
I think if you kill Moonchopper, I think you hit the gas pedal. I don't know if you can kill him yet, but if you kill him, Shadow has free reign to Dragon Punch, and look at that, Loki. He hears what I'm saying. It says, oh, that's what they need to do to win? Let me just shut that down. Loki, big play on the Cassie. Now going for Ricotta. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, double kill for young Cassie. And that's going to be a 3-3.
And there is opportunities. Those are the moments that sort of separate a lot of these teams in the PPL. Being able to smell opportunities from further and further away are the important things that you do and improve on as a team. Putting this game away and just having the confidence to say, well, there is this brewing right now. We've got these things to work with. They've got these things to work with. How fast can I do that calculation in my head and make this call and make it a good one?
Loki showing up in a nice way. I've talked a lot about his lackluster season, but he's one of the best aiming players that we've seen in all of Paladins in North America. When he shows up, he is one of the biggest threats that you will see, and so far he's shown up today. The Resilience 3 pickup. How do you feel about that, Nick? That's a lot of credits.
It certainly is, and with a CC immunity ultimate too, it seems a little bit strange here. Maybe he just feels singled out, whether it's the knockbacks, whether it's just getting dunked on by a seismic crash. I don't know, man. I do agree. It's a lot of credits, and you have your ultimate. You're not countering any stealth champions with. I feel like if you really are under that much pressure from CC, just hold your ultimate and use it like a cleanse.
Yeah, big stuff here, though. The right side's totally controlled by Renegades. And you have to say, they've won this one so cleanly. The best thing for Splyce to do is just back off, and I like it. They do. Now Renegades here are in an interesting spot. Moonchopper's so aggressive. I mean, he can get walled off here. He doesn't realize Vayne is right around the corner. He sniffs something out, but I don't know if he realizes how close Vayne is to maybe trapping him. Here's a Dragon Punch. Might force the Immortal, and actually is. And he's looking for one. But that's going to be Hero dead. I mean, unless a miracle saves his life. Big shield.
What a shield.
Oh, I guess that was the miracle we were looking for.
Just the timing, the angle, not quite right there. Frozen is such a difficult map to get back on. 2 kills, though. Shadow, chill, man. Just take it easy. Just take it easy. Just live here.
You got it.
Kliku comes through with the Ancient Rage. He might be trying to turn this one around. He's already found one. He's looking for his second. Now he smells Shadow. He smells the blood in the water. I know he's playing a turtle,
what a heal.
but he's looking like a shark.
What a heal! Aspect makes it take so long for Kliku to kill him. He gets a beautiful life exchange shatter, and now Kliku overextends. But look at this, Loki coming up big. Hero is back in action and looking like a hero today. Overtime ticking away, but the Enlightenment blocked again by Hero's shield. What a performance from the Fernando towards the end of this. They min-max it all and meditate on their victory as Renegades find themselves the win.
Beautiful stuff. That's an Ancient Rage for the books, man. I mean, he gets so much done with that. Really kind of turns it all around. Gets that kill on a Shadow eventually. It took a long time, but I mean, Kliku definitely dominates in that last fight.
This is not a race where we feel like 2 drivers are asleep at the wheel and we're watching a 20-mile-per-hour course through the Italian peninsula. We're seeing some F1 racers here. 200 miles an hour, cutting turns, absolutely slipping and sliding. I don't know the actual vernacular for racing, and as you can tell, we went go-kart racing recently. I don't even know how to go-kart race very well, but I will say that this definitely looks like a high-flying, paced action that I'm excited to see from Renegades and Splyce.
16-10 for Loki, 10-6 for Chopper. Really good slash lines. Moonchopper just dumps an absolute metric ton of damage out onto this field as well. He was one of the few people, if not the only, above 6 figures. G-Bunny and the rest of Splyce, kind of the same story from game 1. They're not getting it done, very fabulously. It's a lot of people even or maybe negative here. They do have a couple of moments for themselves. It almost always came off the back of these coordinated dives, though, with G-Bunny as sort of the anchor.
Yeah.
And you just maybe either started to see less of that or Renegades adjusting to the one trick that was working for Splyce.
Hero for me, although we're looking at Moonchopper here, was my MVP for that game. You looked at that chart, 29 eliminations. That was the highest in the entire game off of anybody, and he saves the game. He doesn't get killed by a Dragon Punch. He wastes that ultimate. Kliku doesn't have to worry about an Ancient Rage. He stays alive, too, and is in that entire team fight. Doesn't die once. The other shield blocks the Enlightenment from Ricotta, which could have turned it around if he found Viral behind him. So, fantastic stuff from Hero, min-maxing. Sometimes we don't give the tank players credit, but they really showed up in that one. It's a 2-0 for Renegades. Let's see if the game 3 on your horizon will be any differently for Splyce. I actually think that Splyce have looked decent today, but Renegades have just matched them.
He does a good job. I think Hero also had almost as much damage, if not more, than Cassie as well, somewhere near the 80K mark. So finding ways to be effective in every facet of the kit. Frog Isle could potentially put this game away. This will be Splyce's selection as they lost game number 2. The Renegades 4-3, 4-3. It's not coming easy, but it is coming.
It is coming. That's what I like to see. And it just, the pacing feels so much different than that set just a few weeks ago. It's amazing to see the development these teams are making, the focus that I think has arisen. Sometimes, man, I'll tell you what, you play a season, you got 6 weeks, 5 weeks, you know, bye week, and you start to get a little, it's hard to keep it up, even through the middle, you know, all the focus and intensity, but you could tell they've stepped it up here. And the bans are sniper-oriented, and notably no Willow at all in this set.
Feeling comfortable, I think, on this Cassie at this point, as well as it has proven to be pretty flexible for them. Makoa certainly was a good game. If Splyce are going to let them get most of the picks that they got last game, they probably will, just because they're going to be feeling in a rhythm with them.
Clicky looks good on Makoa. Cassie really good with Loki. But G-Bunny looks great on Ashe as well. And there's the Willow finally. And it's going to be Shadow on that one, unless we see some variance in the last 2 picks. Renegades back with their 4th draft phase here.
I'm surprised they don't take Leon there, I got to be honest with you.
It's been working. And you leave it for Ricotta.
Splyce will go to the Victor, though. I mean, this is comfort zone, I think.
Yep.
Victor has seen some play here, though. He's seen some mileage. I think Rock played it not too long ago. It might have been last week or something like that.
Oh, he's dangerous, though.
Certainly is. One hell of a player.
The second I start seeing anyone pull the same 4-to-1 KDs that Rock almost always pulls, I mean, then we can start treating it the same thing. But for me, I always feel like Victor's lackluster in a draft like this. What do you truly think?
I think it's all on the player. I don't think he really brings anything that a lot of other champions would. It's just damage. He's a very basic character. I always say there are those nuanced things that you can do, but it's just nuanced things to get your damage out more. It's not any utility or anything else like that. Cast your votes for potentially the final time here, unless Splyce can bring it back. They've gone to the comfort picks here, but I think Renegades have themselves a nice little thing going as well.
I think the burst mode Victor, which we would expect to see, is going to be a little rough on the Eevee when she blinks in and gets into his face. That's where I think trying to track with those bop pellets or bullets that come out, and it's going to be a little harder, especially
Don't you steal my casting style now.
Oh, bop. It's just so efficient. I feel like less words, more onomatopoeia is where Paladins casting needs to go in 2019.
I think I'll definitely eat my words a little bit there. It ends up being a smart move for Renegades to leave the Leon open there at the expense of keeping that last pick open just for counterplay.
Yeah.
And the Eevee is what they do to counterplay it. We'll see if it works out for them.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, the Victor and the Eevee matchup typically goes to Eevee. Now, Shrapnel Victor in your casual games, I mean, Eevee could just get bursted so much, it's hard for an 1800 health champion to take that, let alone 2 times in a row. But I think that here in this competitive setting, with some support from Viral, there's going to be a lot that Ricotta has to deal with. Throws a grenade early, and he actually pokes Chopper out just like that.
This is what Moonchopper's got to be worried about, though. Willow's right there. Ying is right there. Ashe and Khan are not too far off either. It's all of these damage sources. You're going to check that recap, and you're going to see 300 to 500 from 5 different sources that brought you down, not just Vic.
Now, I like Ricotta's throwing of the grenades. Hits that one on the tree. He's got a good angle here. But the problem is what I see, and what I saw Navi do so well yesterday, Nick, bringing that game up, we just saw creatives holding this left corner with him. And that's what I think Ricotta needs to do. Just put pressure on a hero. Give Vayne a little bit of room to get aggressive. And now Vayne's in control of this matchup. He's going to go and chase down. And that means Viral has to pay attention to the front line. Now you should all move in because the support and a tank are looking at your solo tank. But he feels isolated, Nick. They take the right side instead of the left. I don't know how I feel about that.
It's one of the things I want to see more, and I think it applies just as much to the snipers, and that's what you see like Tenor do on Frog Isle here is move.
Yeah.
Stay in the fight. Stay involved. Take a different angle. Don't just sit like a bot at the window the whole time.
Right.
And hope that people walk like they're just not going to walk out. It's 2018. They've seen this movie before. It's not going to happen.
Right. And you know what? I get it. It's competitive, but one of the things I don't like is damage dealers not taking risks. As far as you have an opportunity to kill someone, go out there, stretch your legs, take a risk. Maybe someone headshots you, sure, man, but you need to get the headshot, otherwise they just are winning by default. You know, you've got an Inara on the objective. You have to contribute damage that may not be safe, but it has to be done. Otherwise, Ashe will never 1v1 an Inara with Viral healing her.
Curious to see how Chopper's play evolves as he gets like a Cauterize 3 on and risks become a little bit easier to take for him because he was not able to really do anything in that first round and his team was still able to win. And that's what's a good sign here. nice. I mean, just a
oh no!
awesome collision of events there. Gets the CC immunity from Overpower at like the last possible second to not get feared off the map himself. But then gets hooked off.
But then gets hooked off the map, which is the beautiful play by ClickU there. Just recognizes, and he's going to pull him down. Oh my god, what a godlike Makoa display here from ClickU. You know he wants this last shot. Oh my god, the disrespect. Just turns around, says, I've done my job.
Evie needs these credits.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful play here.
Get that caught online, baby.
Yeah. Look at that. Battle shout, but where you going?
Over the wall.
Over the wall, through the woods to grandmother's house. And even hits the midair shot before putting on the shell shield to give Moonchopper a little bit of respite. Great stuff here from ClickU. And the Renegades are actually about 90% of the way. He's commanded so much attention that Vayne is pretty isolated back there.
Here comes the Fae Flight and the fallback, it looks like, for the Renegades. If Moonchopper's got anything to say about it, he blinks up,
nice.
Tries to find a little bit more damage, but the Commander's Grab shuts it all down, and sometimes just the threat, just that ultimate being popped is enough to win you a fight.
They pull back, you know, I think it's good that ClickU gets on a mount because he's going to be some fast-moving pressure on one of the sides, and Vayne can kind of walk up. There's only so far he can go with the Kinetic Burst Ash, just using it before he uses Earthen Guard, but then doesn't have that when he's actually now fighting on the objective in overtime. So I like the fact that they actually fall back there. 7 seconds left. I'm pretty sure they're going to have a chance to touch. Vayne now holding on, but he lets the Inara just kind of slip through, trying to hold the damage dealers back and isolate her. I think the plan is to just finish her off if they can right away, but Loki finds Shadow instead.
There it is. Gord goes out as well. Vyro under some pressure, though. He needs help. He needs some peel. He's trying to play the corner of these stuns. Woo! Slithers away. G-Bunny just can't hit the shot, though. It only would have taken one. And Vyro's too slippery today.
And I think he's aware of, he's got to be aware of the Victor Grenade, because I'm wondering, you didn't have to go all the way down, but I think he's just being super, super cautious. Luckily, he stays alive there. A little bit of an attempt for Moonchopper. Here was the beautiful disrespect play. Right after getting told that you're a good student, you see somebody come through with 106% extra credit and all. You just feel like a slouch.
You get your, you get your 78 back, and I know how you feel, man. I got a 96 on this.
I know how you feel, man.
Get on my face.
Yeah, dude, underperforming.
I wonder if Commander's Grab would have hit there, or if he was too low, already off the edge there.
He might have been. I mean, there's a little bit of that lockout right after the overpower, so he may not have had time. I mean, ClickU definitely aware of all the timings there. He's a con player as well, and if you play frontline at all, I mean, who's not a con player? Definitely one of the better choices here to frag out casual games.
Here comes the Illusory Rift, though. Hots across the board for all of Splyce. But Evan, not doing much with it.
Not doing much at all. Hero here on the point.
Nothing.
Hanging out, and Splyce just hanging out with their Illusory Rift. And again, ClickU right on cue, man. He's just outplaying it. This is just absolutely outplaying this entire situation. But now G-Bunny right in reverse. Right in reverse says, okay, you're going to kill one of my teammates. And then
ClickU's took skill, though.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? I think both of them are relatively good responses for what just happened. And now maybe Splyce, off of this momentum, will be able to take the objective. They've got 45%. It is still 1-1. Now, where does Ricotta go from here? I think I'd like to see him play this left side a little bit more. You're just worried about a Cassie, my man. That's not one hit and kill potential. We'll get you to half health, but at least you're not stunned in wide open space. Vayne says, I don't know if I can be there for you, brother. I'm doing my work over here.
I just want to spend some time watching Evie here because I feel like Moonchopper has been so quiet this game. And I almost forget that Evie is in this game at times. ClickU is lifting the weight of 2 people at the moment on Makoa. And that's what's doing it, I think, of keeping them in. Chopper's got to find a way to get to this backline to shut it down. And the reason I think they are still winning is because Splyce are being pretty passive at the moment.
They really are.
They're not really playing as though they don't have a pressure on them.
I mean, who's going to touch the point? You're just going to, I mean, no, and there it is. I like it. Different position here from Ricotta. He's going down to the ground. And, you know, Hero finds him, but this point is lost if something doesn't happen like that, right? If you don't kill Viral, it's lost anyway, so might as well. It's all about, sure, don't want to get staggered on defense, but I'm not worried about getting staggered on defense if I can never win an offense. That problem comes back to haunt me in round 4 if it goes like this.
2:22 on the clock. get this one pushed through. Renegades failed last time, but they took so long to get it started.
Yeah.
Maybe they can just get off the ground a little bit sooner here. I'll have a much better shake at it this time around. Vayne doesn't want to let that happen, though. As he overstepped his welcome, he is nowhere near his siege shield. And without Fortress Breaker, that little buddy doesn't look like it's doing much for you.
Yeah, I mean, it barely went off cooldown just now. It's not like that in RM pass where you can just toggle it off and start it whenever you feel like it's stopped using its value. Loki, Click You, the rest of Renegades, they respond in kind. It's a totally different performance here on both sides. Splyce only starting to get a little timid on Frog Isle, whereas they've been playing this set really nicely in terms of being aggressive and taking risks. Renegades continue to dominate. Click You, got to say, he's one of the big reasons why this is going so well.
1:30 on the clock, and they've made much better progress so far. Dead Zone, Seedling, but Kliku will survive, and the Fae Flight comes out. This is what deterred a lot of aggression last time. Renegades really have no way to deal with this ultimate, given their composition, and so they don't have much of a choice but to back up.
Yeah, and I mean, look at that. So many kills. Nice long range kill from Shadow as well. Worth the spray, buddy. Definitely worth the spray. Vayne picks that one up, and this is what they were afraid of. This is why they all back off, because if you don't, then this is where Splyce can defend from. But this is almost a good spot to defend from, in my opinion, because then you could start snowballing as Renegades, find a pick early, and then you just steamroll them down the entire map.
48 on the clock left. Plenty of ultimates as well if the Renegades want to commit. But the game wouldn't be over here. Evan wants to see the overpowered. Is G-Bunny going to give it to him? That's the question. Give him the Commander's Grab into the barrage. That's plenty of damage on a Kliku. And it's enough for Rukata to actually finish it off.
It's a great matchup, too. I mean, when G-Bunny's able to isolate Click You under that shell shield, he thinks he's giving his team a little bit of respite. I mean, that's not just hurting Click You, it's hurting Moonchopper, who thinks he's safe. And a 600 damage blast, that's 30%. Maybe a little bit more of Eevee's health, sitting at 1,800. So great use of the skills, and it's going to go 2-2 here with Vayne out in the zone.
I love Commander's Grab kills, man. It looks like you just punch him in the face and kill him.
It's a lot of damage, too.
It's
a lot of damage.
Which is good, because honestly, I feel like the whole like throw, it's kind of weak in my opinion. It very rarely feels like I always compare it to Sobek from Smite, where it feels like you hit one of those in the right spot and it is just a guaranteed kill. It feels like very rarely are you getting like a Commander's Grab of time that's just like, oh, that little flip
And
right
they're
there
dead, yeah.
just did it to him.
The only way, it actually has some nice height to it, so the only way I really find success is on maps like this where you can just bait someone who's not paying attention into fighting you off a balcony, and then you just boop, lift them over. But with champions who can get back easily, not necessarily the best strategy. Click You probably wouldn't die to that, but Hero certainly would, as there's no movement skill for Inara.
A lot of ultimates here. For Renegades, not so much for Splyce, though. How do they use the resources? Last round, it was a very sad illusory rift that came out, and then nothing really happened, so that's what I'm looking to change. And the easiest thing you can do is just use it so this Ashe can dive, right? That's what was so successful for them on Frozen Guard.
Again?
They pop it again.
For
Just
what?
look at the silhouettes. Nothing's happening. No moves are being made.
That's super weird. It is super weird. I like the overpower here as well. And you know what? Great angle, because that means Click You can't respond, maybe try to hook him off, or maybe shell spins back on. And now G-Bunny has to make a move. Like, you know, get yourself some bonus damage, baby. Firing line that. Give him the movement speed. Shadow, G-Bunny, they control it. And you know what? This is the first time where that illusory rift feels like it made sense. They were waiting for Hero, wanted him to be healthy. And they ended up just stealing Click You off that. Maybe making him look left when they were going right.
Wow, deep Dread Serpent here that actually hits both of the backliners. Poor Splyce, we'll see how they are able to recover from that. Now it's Renegade's turn to press E and get some of these ultimates online. Vayne hits his, assert dominance to the backline. The Ice Storm comes out. Moonchopper already picked up one, though, before he exited stage right. 87% on the objective, but the Renegades in control, still with Seismic Crash here. And assert dominance didn't get off, but it won't be back in time.
Man, oh man, you gotta say, everything went right except the zone. And that's something that, you know, Renegades are going to be able to take advantage of with this Eevee. They can now close the set out, finish off this game as well. Frog Isle doesn't usually go to these kind of 3-3, 4-3 situations, and I don't know if Renegades would like that either. Give Splyce another chance, and that last point fight was the closest they've been.
Oh, man. minutes now. Already about halfway pushed through.
Oh, that's bad.
Moonchopper finding some momentum in this round as well. Look at those shots. When those are landing, Eevee is easy to play. Sir Dominance comes out. Loki manages to finish what Chopper started.
And he had the Ice Storm, Nick. He got it on the last shot of that Soar, and he didn't use it. But now he's got it in case, you know, 2, 3, maybe 5 members on the side of Splyce decide to group up, especially Ricotta. He's going to get the shot mid-air. Moonchopper now says, let's finish this off, boys. Time to chop them up.
There it is, up over the top of the con here. Doesn't want this matchup, though. Falls back.
Wow.
Illusory Rift pops. And just those sound cues. Faith Light and Illusory Rift, 2 things that Renegades are not hasty to fight into. Why would you be if you don't have to? It's going to cost you a lot more time off the clock if you have to get the full wipe. And they managed to back off there and not lose a lot of the map control that they had gained.
Look at this. Beautiful seismic crash. I think up on the top, you see Moon Chop, and it's going to be Renegades cleaning this one up. 4-2, 3-0 in the set over Splyce.
Looking pretty clean there. A lot of things going right for them across the board. Chopper started to pick up speed towards the late game as well. And you can't forget to mention Kliku there was sort of holding the weight, I felt like, until he did. He was a monster on Makoa.
He certainly was, and that's why you just don't give it to him. You just don't give it to a guy like that who's proven it time and time again. It's a threat. Now let's see what you guys think. Who was your MVP in this set? Honestly, my money has to be on Kliku here towards the end. Hero or Kliku for me. I think Hero was instrumental in the Frozen Guard matchup, but Kliku clearly carried a lot of the Lions' weight for most of that Frog Isle game.
Yeah, and he looked great on Fish Market as well. It was a very interesting day, especially in that game 1 for both these teams. You got to see a little bit of kind of what they were made of. Chopper with 76k damage, Loki with 99, and the frontliners with a good little chunk as well. Beautiful healing numbers coming out of Vyro as well. You always got to remember to thank your healers because they do a thankless job.
Curious about the other page. And Ricotta here, 5-4. Interesting to note, doesn't die very much. Moonchopper even dies a little bit more than him. Loki dies twice as much. And that's probably what I'd like the least amount for victors on this map. I've seen them played in this very kind of non-committal way, and if the fight gets lost, just back up, hustle back, and you know, to me, I think having a champion like a Cassie who fights lost, so I'm going to dodge roll in, blast shot, get some healing, maybe I'll disengage, get big game activated, I'm going to change the fight. I think that's honestly a really awesome thing, and I think our MVP has been voted on. You've selected him, the man with the plan, Kliku. He is your star for this set, and well-deserved.
Playing all kinds of different stuff along the way as well. Big congratulations to him. You know, veteran for this guy, like you mentioned, franchise player, I think definitely one of the best that they've got.
Well, that's the Renegades and Splyce. It's a lot quicker this time. Somebody took our advice, and Splyce looking a lot better, I think, as well, ready to make some moves at LAN, as Vayne has promised. Now we got another set coming up. The top team in all of North America, Envy, facing the bottom team, SK. Don't go anywhere. Right after this.